Yeah.
You've spent the last 12 years since your last album playing and traveling quite a bit. But it was a rather creative time as well, and all of a sudden this pandemic befalls. How did you cope with COVID, with not being able to show your new songs after this new album?
For us personally, the timing was very good because we had just finished recording. We had just done the last overdub of the record when the pandemic hit, and the work that was left was being in the studio mixing, which for us means spending days and days at home listening to different versions of each song. So the lockdown just gave us a chance to spend a lot of time listening through takes and mixes.
Erland, in Norway has quite restrictive sanitary measures. You've ended up spending quite some time abroad. How did it feel to go back home? Are you in Norway right now?
No.
Ah, okay.
Went home for the first time in 14 months in the end of April, and I had to spend 8 days in a quarantine hotel.
Cold hotel.
A quarantine hotel.
Yeah.
Hotel?
It's cold, yeah.
In the video, in the documentary. Temperature.
Yeah. Norway has had this incredible policy of keeping the cultural life going. How do you feel this logical political in Norway to support the cultural thing?
I've taken part of the debate behind it.
Uh-huh.
At some point, it was very confusing because the health authorities were trying to shut down society, like full stop. Because their issue was, how do we stop the spread of the disease? But then there were other agents like the cultural ministry and the music business who were saying that, but come on, we know we can do this in a safe way. So when we did the tour, each week there was like a question of which shows would be cancelled. Because in every town there were like measures of how many new cases of COVID had happened in that week. So there were some cancellations because of that. But at the same time, it was seen as quite important to make sure that there was something going on in the cultural life.
Bad things about you, accusations we both know.
Let me ask you a thing. For such perfectionist, for someone with so much attention to detail, like Eirik or Erland, how was it to have 11 new songs ready to be released, but locked, hidden in a computer?
Well, it's true that, we could have released it quicker. It's just because we wanted to wait for the vinyl to be pressed, and that takes a very long time now. There is this one factory in the United States that makes 70% of the world's vinyl. They don't press it, they just make this black oily thing that you make into it. So that factory burned down 1 or 2 years ago. So then suddenly the whole world's supply of vinyl disappeared.
Okay. Were other songs ready to beside these 11 songs? You have to choose more songs to put in this album?
We had quite a few other songs, so we don't know what to do with them. We need to start thinking about that soon.
5 more? 4?
No.
No, it's hard to say because at different stages of the process, ideas that we were working on we didn't continue working on them. Some of them are very close to being finished. Some of them are kind of like they need another burst of inspiration. I don't know. It's like we were now so incredibly tired of this album, so we really wanted to get it out because it could have for sure it could have been better, but
no, it's
just
incredible.
for us to survive as a band, we just needed to get some feedback now.
Yeah.
And now also we not only need the feedback, we need to get back on tour. And once you get back on tour, you realize, this is why we are doing it. Basically when you're standing in a fortress in Cascais, and it's it's a beautiful summer evening and people are singing back your songs, is when you get all the inspiration and all the motivation in the world to continue as a band.
Yeah.
But when you are stuck with the same guy, Eric, in the same place, discussing the same thing over and over again, you start wondering, okay, so being in a band is like disagreeing with my friend Eric. It doesn't seem like such a great thing. So now I'm looking mainly forward to do all the fun things within a band, which mainly is meaning going on tour. What about you, Eric? How do you feel?
Now you just reminded me of our show in Cascais. Do you remember what happened in that fortress?
No.
Yeah. The guitar stopped working.
Died. Yeah, your guitar died during the show, and then we did something to. Can't remember what it was. Kind of managed to pull it off somehow.
Do you recall the concert at Teatro Micalense in the Azores, Portuguese archipelago?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yes, we remember. It was very special to go to the Azores. Very special.
It was the first show we did after having finished Declaration of Dependence.
Yeah. I remember.
So we went there, but the album hadn't come out yet, so people didn't know it. But I mean, for us, it was it was quite memorable. I think for me the most memorable thing was that we were hanging out with some people. We were walking around the town trying to find something. Isn't there anything going on here? Can we meet some people? And so we met some people who was hanging out on a corner. And then like after 10 minutes, so what do you do? We asked this girl. Well, actually, I'm actually a drug dealer. So I go to Amsterdam like a couple of times a year and I bring back drugs. And that's what we're doing here on this corner. We're selling drugs. True story.
We saw in documentary experimenting and testing how sounded across these different places with different guys. Is your first time you tested that?
Yeah, I mean this process we've been to many studios.
Okay.
The thing we're looking for is basically just a nice setup and a nice situation to be in, where we can be relaxed, where what we play sound good, like when we can place the microphone in a certain position so that the guitars and the voices just sound good. A lot of times we find that when we're in that perfect situation, we're not in the perfect shape to play a song well. So we've been in many great recording studios, but it wasn't the right day. So what we performed in that amazing studio wasn't amazing. And then other times we're in this super low-key home studio of some guy somewhere, and we do a great take of a song. A lot of times it takes a long time to realize that cheap demo that we did in a little studio there was actually the best version of the song we ever recorded. Yeah. It takes a lot of, we have to convince ourselves, or we need to forget what was behind this and the ideas we had of the amazing studio where everything would sound amazing.
So many times when we go into a studio, it doesn't feel familiar, it's too big, or the typical problem would be that the room we are in is thought about recording with drums and maybe with brass instruments, things that make a lot of sound. But we make very little sound.
Yeah.
And it's as if our little sound cannot manage to start the room to start sounding. Our sound doesn't reach the walls, so to speak. We kind of keep on trying to be randomly lucky to end up in a situation that could have been, your studio right there, as we see now where you're sitting. Maybe us sitting in your home space would be the perfect place for us to record. And we feel like we cannot search for it in a sort of empirical, scientific way, because it isn't something that you cannot write down what it is that make it work.
The music we make is written in a sofa in a living room. So it's the sound of a living room. That's the sound of Kings of Convenience.
You have been together for more than 20 years now. Is it main goal still creating good songs, putting two guitars and let it flow?
Well, the I don't know what our goal is, but each time we write a song, it's clearly a goal to manage to record it and to give it the attention. There seems to be a certain obligation when we know we have a good idea for a new song. There's a certain pressure, like we need to record this song and make it sound as good as we know the song is.
Yeah. I think there's also a goal for us to constantly try to find new things that are interesting with two guitars. So, you know, there is not so much space left on the guitar. You know, we look down on the guitar and we see that song, and then it's that song, and there's that song. And trying to say, isn't there any place? Is there a little place there? Oh, I haven't been there before.
I have a question for you, Erland. I know you are not particularly fond of a cold climate, so I have to ask you this thing. When are you moving to Portugal?
Oh, well, I think about it a lot. Every time I'm there, I'm thinking, how can I spend more time in Portugal? Portugal's problem is really that it's quite far away. You know, it's never close. It's never easy to fly there either. So it's always, we end up being there a lot less than we would like to. I would love to spend a year of my life in Portugal for sure. It will probably happen.
Your relationship as a band is one of constant provocation and of a deep friendship. What's the story behind Rocky Trail, one of the new songs?
You know, so I wrote Rocky Trail in 2012.
12, wow.
And I was sitting in Erland's house, where Erland is sitting now, in that room in Siracusa, playing it to Erland. And then in my mind, it was very clear that this was the first new song we had for the next album. But the story behind the song is a very personal one, and I cannot tell you the story because I never tell stories about the songs. All the work is to make it sound like it speaks about something which is true, but at the same time it doesn't tell you what the story is.
So the concerts for the next year, how do you feel about that? Portugal and Lisboa, 2 concerts.
Yeah, we really love playing Portugal. It feels like we have a connection to Portugal. There's something about that kind of there's this melancholy and at the same time sensuality. Like it's a very sensual country. Emotion and senses and beauty and mosaics and the sidewalks, and there's like attention to details. Portugal, the mix of vitality and nostalgia. I feel connected to these like 2 counter qualities of Portugal, and our music is somehow, it fits in that landscape somehow.
I thought they would take you to the end of any road. I thought your back was strong, but I should have carried you to the top of the rocky trail.